In the realm of iron and sweat, where Herculean physiques are chiseled and champions are forged, bodybuilding has traversed through the annals of time, leaving an indelible mark on the sands of history. From the raw strength and sheer audacity of the Bronze Era to the pursuit of aesthetic perfection in the Silver Era, and finally, the resplendent apex of the Golden Era, this sacred temple of muscularity has witnessed a breathtaking evolution. When you look back to the legends of the Iron Game, there is so much to learn. There are numerous social media accounts, blogs, and news feeds that focus on old-school bodybuilding, attracting a large number of followers. Many of these accounts have thousands of followers and publish content that consists primarily of Ronnie Coleman, Jay Cutler, and others from our current mass era. While each generation has their own definition of what old school is or isn't, we wanted to more clearly define and explain the different eras in bodybuilding through its existence. Bronze Era, from 1894 to 1939. The Bronze Era marked a significant turning point in the evolution of bodybuilding. It commenced with the emergence of Eugen Sandow, widely hailed as the father of bodybuilding, in 1894. Prior to this era, Sandow had already made a name for himself as a strongman, captivating audiences with his extraordinary displays of strength. However, it was during this pivotal period that Sandow introduced a revolutionary concept: posing. By incorporating deliberate and artistic poses into his performances, Sandow shifted the focus from pure feats of strength to the aesthetic aspects of the human physique. This groundbreaking innovation laid the groundwork for the birth of modern bodybuilding as we know it today. During the Bronze Era, the bodybuilding landscape was vastly different from what it would later become. Gymnasiums and dedicated training facilities were few and far between, posing a challenge for aspiring bodybuilders seeking an environment conducive to their training needs. Additionally, organized bodybuilding competitions were virtually non-existent during this time. Weight training methods were relatively basic, relying primarily on barbells and dumbbells. Diets followed by bodybuilders in this era were largely influenced by those traditionally adopted by strongmen, aiming to build muscle mass but often leading to the accumulation of excess fat as well. It's important to note that the development and use of steroids, which would later revolutionize the sport, were still several decades away during the Bronze Era. As a result, bodybuilders relied on natural methods and techniques to sculpt their physiques. The absence of a comprehensive and universally accepted understanding of muscle growth and development meant that various theories circulated among bodybuilders during this time. The bodybuilding community was characterized by a diversity of opinions and practices, creating an atmosphere reminiscent of the untamed Wild West. Despite these challenges and uncertainties, the Bronze Era saw the rise of notable figures who left a lasting impact on the sport of bodybuilding. Eugen Sandow, the pioneer himself, stands out as a prominent figure from this period. Other notable names include Siegmund Klein, Earl Lederman, George Jowett, Tony Sansone, and Burt Goodrich, each contributing to the shaping of bodybuilding history during this formative era. Silver Era, from 1940 to 1959. Just as the Bronze Era unequivocally commenced with the iconic Eugen Sandow, the mantle of the Silver Era is undeniably donned by John Grimek. Grimek's journey into bodybuilding was a path that transcended mere muscular pursuits. Formerly a weightlifter who represented the United States in the 1936 Olympics, Grimek's enigmatic entry into the bodybuilding realm shook its foundations. The reverberations of his triumph at the AAU Mr. America contest in 1940 echoed throughout the industry, as audiences bore witness to a physique unrivaled in both size and shape. Asserting his dominance once more, Grimek clinched the title again in 1941, prompting the AAU to implement a rule that barred previous Mr. America winners from future competitions. Throughout the span of 1940 to 1949, Grimek remained unvanquished, etching his name in history as the sole undefeated bodybuilder to grace the major contests of his time. During the Silver Era, the momentum of bodybuilding gained formidable traction, with the indomitable presence of Steve Reeves setting the stage for a transformative shift. Reeves captured the hearts and aspirations of countless young boys when he portrayed the legendary Hercules on the silver screen. His chiseled physique ignited a newfound fascination, inspiring many to embark on their own weightlifting journeys in pursuit of a similar aesthetic ideal. In this era, weight training methodologies underwent refinement, focusing on higher repetitions to stimulate muscle growth rather than pure strength. Comprehensive full-body workouts became the norm, engendering holistic development. Dietary practices experienced modest advancements, with a growing consciousness towards avoiding processed foods and excessive sugar intake. However, the tumultuous backdrop of World War II, with rationing in effect, necessitated resourcefulness in sourcing nourishment. It is noteworthy that post-war, with much of the American population grappling with underweight concerns, the pursuit of avoiding fat did not command as much attention as it would in subsequent eras. The advent of steroids, a monumental chapter in bodybuilding's history, arrived in 1958 with the inception of Dianabol by Dr. John Ziegler. Although the widespread usage of steroids would not take hold until the early 1960s, this development paved the way for significant transformations in the sport. As the Silver Era unfolded, the bodybuilding lifestyle began to take shape, disseminated through exercise and dietary tips found within the pages of muscle magazines that proliferated during this period. Golden Era, from 1960 to 1983. The use of steroids in the early 1960s marked the genesis of the Golden Era, propelling bodybuilding into uncharted territory. During this transformative period, Golden Era bodybuilders became pioneers in testing and refining these novel substances, exploring their effects and efficacy firsthand. Natural bodybuilders quickly realized that in order to remain competitive, they would need to embrace the use of these drugs or resign themselves to mere spectators in the realm of bodybuilding, relegated to watching competitions from the sidelines of a physician's office. While the widespread utilization of steroids became increasingly prevalent as the era progressed, the physiques of Golden Era bodybuilders retained a remarkable sense of symmetry and aesthetic appeal. However, it was during the culmination of the Golden Era that bodybuilding experienced an unprecedented surge in popularity. The production of the seminal documentary Pumping Iron and Arnold Schwarzenegger's ascent to the pinnacle of Hollywood through his portrayal of Conan the Barbarian played pivotal roles in catapulting the sport into the mainstream consciousness. One of the most celebrated periods in bodybuilding history unfolded with Frank Zane's reign as Mr. Olympia from 1977 to 1979. Zane's physique captured the imagination of the general public, who perceived it as both desirable and attainable. The Golden Era witnessed a shift in exercise practices, as visionaries like Arthur Jones and others introduced machines designed to isolate specific muscle groups in the 1970s. This led to the adoption of the split system of training, focusing on targeting a select few muscles with higher sets, in contrast to the full-body workouts prevalent during the Silver Era. Dietary patterns also underwent a transformation during this era, as bodybuilders embraced a high-protein, low-carbohydrate regimen that continues to dominate the bodybuilding community to this day. These dietary choices played a significant role in sculpting the physiques of Golden Era bodybuilders. Among the notable figures who etched their names into the annals of bodybuilding during this extraordinary epoch were Arnold Schwarzenegger, Frank Zane, Larry Scott, Dave Draper, Sergio Oliva, Serge Nubret, and Franco Columbu. Each of these individuals left an indelible mark on the sport, contributing to its legacy and embodying the spirit of the Golden Era. Haney Era, from 1984 to 1991. The era dominated by Lee Haney left an indelible mark on the world of bodybuilding, heralding a shift towards a new paradigm. While Haney did not embody the modern-day mass monsters, he served as their precursor, pushing the boundaries of aesthetic muscle development while retaining a distinctive shape. Many bodybuilding historians speculate that had Arnold Schwarzenegger continued to compete rather than pursuing a career in movies, Haney would have been the first to halt Schwarzenegger's unprecedented Mr. Olympia reign. This alone justifies the emergence of a new era, as it signifies a pivotal transition in the sport's trajectory. In addition to prefiguring the mass era, the Haney era witnessed a notable change in judging criteria, with an increasing emphasis on size overshadowing symmetry. This shift adversely affected those bodybuilders who adhered steadfastly to the principles of symmetry and aesthetic appeal, such as Bob Paris. Despite this, the Haney era ushered in a period of transformation and new possibilities. Mass era, from 1992 to present. The dawn of the mass era arrived with the emergence of Dorian Yates as the reigning Mr. Olympia in 1992. Yates introduced a new archetype of bodybuilding, distinctly different from anything witnessed before. Over the years, he continued to push the boundaries of size, culminating in his final year of competition, 1997, when a bloated waist became a visible concern, which he attributed to the usage of insulin. However, it was Ronnie Coleman who truly epitomized the essence of the mass era, establishing himself as its iconic figure. To this day, no one has surpassed Coleman in sheer size and mass. In the present, one of the paramount considerations for a Mr. Olympia winner lies in maintaining a well-controlled stomach. While exercises and intensity have remained relatively stable since the golden era, subtle variations do exist. Diet continues to prioritize a high-protein, low-carb approach, although the pursuit of size has led modern bodybuilders to consume significantly more than their counterparts from the golden era. Steroids, more than anything else, define this era with an exponential increase in available variations compared to the golden era. Technological advancements have resulted in the development of increasingly potent steroids, contributing to the creation of ever larger bodybuilders. As classic and physique contests gain traction, driven by a public demand for a return to the more aesthetically focused physiques reminiscent of the golden era. Perhaps the mass era is nearing its denouement, paving the way for a renaissance of timeless beauty in the world of bodybuilding. Among the notable figures who have left an indelible mark on the mass era are Dorian Yates, Ronnie Coleman, Jay Cutler, Kai Green, Phil Heath, and Sean Roden. Each of these individuals has played a significant role in shaping the landscape of modern bodybuilding, embodying the ethos of the mass era. And throughout all these eras, notable bodybuilders have left a mark on the sport, and their physiques continue to inspire and motivate people today.